Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Here we explore the fascinating world of Washington quarter dollar coins. Discover rare quarters, hidden values, minting secrets, and amazing auction stories. If you love coins and treasure hunting, you're in the right place. Let's begin the journey into the history and value of Washington quarters. First coined the 1979 Washington quarter dollar with a D mint mark and large date variety. At first glance it looks like any ordinary quarter used in everyday transactions, but under the right conditions and with the right rarity factors, a coin like this can become extremely valuable in the collector's market. The Washington quarter has been part of American currency since 1932. It was originally introduced to celebrate the 200th anniversary of the birth of George Washington, the first president of the United States. The coin was designed by sculptor John Flanagan and features a portrait of Washington on the front and a majestic eagle on the reverse side. For decades the design remained almost unchanged, making the Washington quarter one of the most recognizable coins in American history. Millions of these coins were produced every year, and because they circulated heavily in daily commerce, most people never imagined that any of them could be rare or valuable. The year 1979 was an interesting time for American coin production. During this period the United States Mint was producing large numbers of quarters to keep up with the demand for everyday transactions, vending machines, and public transportation. In that year alone, hundreds of millions of quarters were struck across different mint facilities. The Denver Mint produced nearly 490 million quarters with the small D mint mark located behind George Washington's ponytail on the obverse side of the coin. Coins value +1. Because so many coins were produced, most 1979 quarters are extremely common today. In circulated condition, they are usually worth only their face value of 25 cents. Many worn examples sell for around 30 cents to less than $1 in the coin market. But coin collecting is a hobby where small details can completely change the value of a coin. Factors such as mint mark, date style, strike quality, condition, and rare die varieties can transform a simple coin into a highly sought-after collectible. Coins value. One of the most interesting aspects collectors look for in certain coins is the style of the date. In some coin series there can be differences known as large date and small date varieties. These differences may appear tiny, but to collectors they represent unique production variations that make a coin more desirable. When collectors examine a 1979 Washington quarter closely, they sometimes discover subtle differences in the size and shape of the numbers in the date. A large date variety can stand out slightly more boldly, with thicker numbers that appear more prominent against the coin's surface. Another important factor is the mint mark. The 1979 quarter with the D mint mark was produced at the Denver Mint in Colorado. The mint mark is positioned on the front of the coin, just behind Washington's tied hair ribbon. Since 1968 the United States Mint has placed mint marks on the obverse side of most coins to identify where they were produced. This small letter helps collectors trace the origin of a coin and understand its production history. But what truly determines whether a coin becomes extremely valuable is its condition. Coin collectors use a grading scale that ranges from heavily worn coins to perfect mint state examples. Coins that have been circulated for years usually show scratches, wear on the design, and faded details. These coins are far less valuable than those preserved in pristine condition. However, even circulated coins can still attract attention if they possess unique characteristics or extremely rare varieties. Now imagine a 1979 Washington quarter with a Denver Mint mark that has survived decades of circulation but still retains clear details and an attractive appearance. The coin may show some scratches from use, but it remains in fine condition with visible design elements. For many collectors this type of coin represents a fascinating piece of American monetary history. Collectors often search through pocket change, coin rolls from banks, flea markets, and estate sales hoping to find a rare variety hiding in plain sight. Stories circulate through the coin collecting community about lucky individuals discovering valuable coins in unexpected places. Some people have found rare coins inside old jars, inherited collections, or even in everyday change received at grocery stores. In today's auction market, the value of a coin can increase dramatically when collectors compete to add it to their collections. Rare coins often attract bidders from around the world, especially when they are certified and authenticated by professional grading services. These services carefully examine a coin, confirm its authenticity, and assign it an official grade. Once certified, the coin is sealed inside a protective holder that preserves its condition and provides confidence to buyers. Although most 1979 Washington quarters are worth very little, high-grade or unusual examples can sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on rarity and demand. Some top-condition examples graded at the highest levels have reached prices of several $1,000s at auction because of their exceptional preservation and scarcity. Coins value +1. However, the excitement surrounding rare coin discoveries sometimes leads to stories of extraordinary auction results. In the imagination of collectors and enthusiasts, a unique example with special characteristics such as a large date, rare die features, and strong collector demand could theoretically reach astonishing prices in a competitive auction environment. When collectors believe a coin represents a rare opportunity, bidding wars can push prices far beyond typical expectations. This is why stories about coins potentially reaching values such as $190,000 capture the imagination of collectors and viewers around the world. Whether discovered in a personal collection or inherited from a family member, the possibility that an ordinary-looking quarter could hold such immense value creates a sense of excitement and curiosity. Beyond its potential value, the 1979 Washington quarter also represents a piece of American history. Every coin carries the legacy of the time when it was minted. It passed through countless hands, participated in everyday transactions, and silently witnessed decades of economic activity. Each scratch or mark tells a story of where the coin has traveled. For many collectors, the true reward of coin collecting is not only the possibility of financial gain but also the thrill of discovery. Searching through coins can feel like a treasure hunt where history, art, and economics intersect. A single coin can connect us to a moment in time, revealing how currency evolves and how even the smallest object can hold cultural significance. If you ever come across a 1979 Washington quarter with a D mint mark, it is worth taking a closer look. Examine the date carefully, check the mint mark, and observe the overall condition of the coin. Even if the coin turns out to be common, the process of learning about it can deepen your appreciation for the fascinating world of numismatics. Next coin, the 1967 Washington quarter dollar. At first glance it looks like any other quarter you might receive as change at a store, but for collectors the history, rarity, and condition of this coin can transform it into something far more special. The Washington quarter is one of the most recognizable coins ever produced in the United States. It was first introduced in 1932 to honor the 200th birthday of George Washington, the first president of the United States. The design was created by sculptor John Flanagan and features a left-facing portrait of Washington on the front of the coin. On the reverse side, the coin traditionally shows a powerful eagle with wings spread, holding arrows and olive branches as symbols of strength and peace. For decades this design remained mostly unchanged, becoming a familiar part of American everyday life. By the time the year 1967 arrived, the United States was experiencing a major change in coin production. Silver had been removed from circulating dimes and quarters beginning in 1965 because rising silver prices were causing people to hoard coins. To solve the problem, the U.S. Mint introduced a new copper-nickel clad composition that looked similar to silver but contained no precious metal. The 1967 Washington quarter was made with this copper-nickel outer layer and a pure copper core. Bullion shark. Another unusual feature of coins produced between 1965 and 1967 was the absence of mint marks. Normally coins display small letters that indicate where they were minted, such as D for Denver or S for San Francisco. However, during these years the United States Mint temporarily removed mint marks from coins in order to discourage collectors from hoarding them. As a result, every 1967 Washington quarter appears without a mint mark regardless of where it was produced. Coin-identifier.com. The production numbers for the 1967 quarter were extremely large. More than 1.5 billion quarters were minted that year across several facilities, making it one of the most common quarters ever produced. Because of this enormous mintage, most examples that survive today are worth only their face value of 25 cents. In circulated condition, a typical worn coin may be worth between 25 cents and $1 depending on its appearance and condition. Coinweek.com. Coin no. But coin collecting is a hobby where tiny details can make a huge difference. Collectors pay close attention to factors such as the sharpness of the design, the brightness of the metal surface, and the quality of the strike. Even slight differences in the date style can interest collectors. Some enthusiasts describe certain coins as having a large date appearance, where the numbers appear bold and clearly defined on the coin surface. When examining a 1967 Washington quarter closely, collectors look at the portrait of George Washington, the lettering around the rim, and the numbers in the date. Over time, coins that circulate in everyday transactions develop scratches, marks, and wear from constant handling. These small imperfections tell the story of the coin's journey through decades of commerce. A circulated coin with visible scratches may not be perfect, but it still represents a genuine piece of history. Imagine finding a 1967 Washington quarter that has survived years of circulation but still remains in fine condition. The coin may show light scratches from everyday use, yet the details of Washington's portrait remain visible. The date 1967 stands clearly beneath the portrait, and the lettering around the edge is still readable. For many collectors, Coins like this are fascinating because they have traveled through time, passing through countless hands while remaining recognizable and intact. Coin collectors often search through rolls of coins from banks, jars of old change, flea markets, and estate sales hoping to discover a rare piece. This process is sometimes called coin roll hunting. Enthusiasts carefully inspect each coin using magnifying glasses or microscopes, looking for unusual details that might make the coin special. Sometimes they find doubled letters, small cracks in the design caused by worn dies, or other minting errors that can dramatically increase a coin's value. Although most 1967 quarters are common, rare examples in exceptional condition have attracted attention in auctions. High-grade specimens preserved in mint state can reach impressive prices when certified by professional grading companies. In fact, the most valuable known 1967 quarter sold at auction for several $1,000s due to its extremely high grade and rarity. Craftbuds.com+1. However, stories sometimes circulate about extraordinary coin values that capture the imagination of collectors around the world. In the competitive environment of coin auctions, prices can occasionally rise far beyond expectations when collectors compete fiercely for a particular coin. When a coin appears with unusual features, exceptional preservation, and strong demand among collectors, bidding can escalate dramatically. This is why discussions sometimes mention astonishing values such as $290,000 for a rare or unique example. While such figures represent extraordinary scenarios, they reflect the excitement that exists in the numismatic community. Collectors understand that rare coins can sometimes surprise the market when a truly special specimen appears. Beyond the potential monetary value, the real magic of coin collecting lies in the stories behind the coins themselves. The 1967 Washington quarter represents a moment in American economic history when the nation transitioned away from silver coinage. It reflects the effort of the United States Mint to produce billions of coins quickly in order to keep commerce running smoothly during a time of change. Every scratch on a circulated coin tells part of its journey. Perhaps the coin once passed through a grocery store register in the late 1960s, bought a newspaper in the 1970s, or was used in a vending machine decades ago. Each mark and imperfection becomes a silent witness to the many places the coin has traveled. For collectors, discovering coins like the 1967 quarter can feel like uncovering hidden treasure. A simple coin that most people overlook might hold an interesting story or even unexpected value. This sense of discovery is what keeps collectors searching through their pocket change and examining coins carefully. If you ever come across a 1967 Washington quarter, take a moment to look closely at it. Examine the portrait of George Washington, check the clarity of the date, and observe the condition of the coin's surface. Even if the coin turns out to be common, you will still be holding a small piece of history that has traveled through more than half a century of everyday life. Next coin, the 1985 Washington quarter dollar with the P mint mark. To most people it looks like just another quarter, but under certain circumstances it can attract the attention of collectors around the world. The Washington quarter is one of the most famous coins in American history. It was first introduced in 1932 to celebrate the 200th anniversary of the birth of George Washington, the first president of the United States. The design was created by sculptor John Flanagan. On the front of the coin, also called the obverse, we see the left-facing portrait of George Washington. Surrounding the portrait are the words Liberty at the top and In God We Trust on the side, with the date appearing beneath the portrait. On the reverse side, the coin traditionally shows a strong American eagle with wings spread wide, holding arrows and olive branches, symbolizing strength and peace. By the time 1985 arrived, the Washington quarter had already been in circulation for more than 50 years. Earlier quarters minted before 1965 were made with 90% silver. However, because silver prices increased dramatically during the 1960s, the United States Mint changed the metal composition. Beginning in 1965, quarters were made using a copper-nickel clad structure. The outer layers contain 75% copper and 25% nickel, while the center core is pure copper. This new composition allowed the mint to produce coins in large quantities while keeping costs under control. CoinAuctionShelf.com. The 1985 Washington quarter was produced in extremely large numbers. The Philadelphia Mint alone struck more than 775 million quarters that year, making it one of the most common coins in circulation during the 1980s. Because so many coins were made, most examples that people find today are still only worth their face value of 25 cents. In average circulated condition, many 1985 quarters are valued between about 25 cents and less than $1 depending on their condition. Cointrackers.com+1. Coin No. But coin collecting is a hobby where small details can make a huge difference. Collectors pay attention to things like the sharpness of the design, the brightness of the metal, and the quality of the strike. They also study subtle differences in the numbers of the date. Some coins appear to have a bold or large date style where the numbers look stronger and more prominent on the coin's surface. Another important feature of this coin is the P mint mark. The small letter P appears on the front of the coin near the right side of George Washington's head. This letter shows that the coin was produced at the Philadelphia Mint. Interestingly, the Philadelphia Mint did not place mint marks on most coins for many years. The practice of adding the P mint mark to quarters began only in 1980, so coins from the early 1980s with this mark represent an important change in U.S. coin production history. CoinValueChecker.com. Imagine discovering a 1985 Washington quarter with a P mint mark that has been circulating for many years but still remains in fine condition. The coin might show light scratches from everyday use, yet the details of Washington's portrait remain visible. The numbers and the date appear bold, and the lettering around the coin is still clear. For collectors, such coins are interesting because they represent decades of circulation while still preserving much of their original design. Coins that circulate in everyday life often develop marks and scratches from contact with other coins and surfaces. These imperfections are part of the coin story. They show that the coin was actively used in the economy. A coin with circulated scratches in fine condition may not be perfect, but it still holds historical significance and collectible interest. Collectors around the world search constantly for unusual coins. Some search through bank rolls of coins, others explore flea markets, antique shops, or inherited collections. The excitement comes from the possibility that a rare variety might be hiding among ordinary coins. Many famous discoveries in coin collecting happen purely by accident when someone decided to take a closer look at their pocket change. The value of a coin in the collector's market depends heavily on its condition and rarity. Professional grading companies examine coins carefully under magnification. They evaluate the sharpness of the design, the presence of scratches, and the overall appearance. After inspection, the coin receives a grade that helps determine its value in the market. Once graded, the coin is sealed in a protective holder so collectors can trust its authenticity. Although the majority of 1985 Washington quarters are very common, coins preserved in extremely high condition can sometimes reach impressive prices. For example, certain high-grade specimens of the 1985 P quarter have sold for more than $1,000 at auction because of their exceptional quality. Coin No Plus One. Stories of rare coin discoveries often capture the imagination of collectors and viewers. When collectors compete for a special coin in a major auction, prices can rise quickly. A coin with unique characteristics, strong collector demand, and historical interest can sometimes achieve astonishing results. Because of this excitement, discussions about rare quarters sometimes include dramatic figures such as $160,000 for a particularly remarkable example. Whether such values represent extraordinary scenarios or collector speculation, they show how much fascination surrounds rare coins in the numismatic world. Beyond its potential value, the 1985 Washington quarter represents a small piece of American history. Every coin tells a story about the time when it was created. The year 1985 was a period when billions of clad coins were circulating through the American economy. These coins were used in everyday life, buying food, paying bus fares, and making small purchases. Each scratch and mark on a circulated coin is evidence of its journey through time. Perhaps the coin once passed through a grocery store cash register, or maybe it sat in a jar of spare change for years before being rediscovered. These small details connect us to the lives of the people who used the coin decades ago. For many collectors, the greatest joy of coin collecting is not simply the possibility of profit. Instead, it is the thrill of discovery and the connection to history. A simple quarter can open the door to learning about economics, art, and national history. If you ever come across a 1985 Washington quarter with a P mint mark, it is worth taking a closer look. Use a magnifying glass to examine the date, the lettering, and the details of Washington's hair. Sometimes tiny differences can reveal interesting varieties or minting errors. Next coin, the 1991 Washington quarter dollar with the D mint mark. To most people it appears like an ordinary quarter that has been used many times, maybe scratched and dusty from years of circulation, but within the world of numismatics even a coin like this can become a fascinating subject. The Washington quarter is one of the most recognizable coins ever produced in the United States. It first appeared in 1932 to celebrate the 200th birthday of George Washington, the first president of the United States. The design of the coin was created by sculptor John Flanagan. On the front of the coin, which is called the obverse, there is a left-facing portrait of George Washington. Above his head is the word liberty, and beside the portrait appears the phrase "In God We Trust." Beneath Washington's neck the date shows the year the coin was minted. On the reverse side of the traditional design, an American eagle spreads its wings proudly while holding arrows and olive branches, representing the balance between strength and peace. By the year 1991, the Washington quarter had already been circulating for almost 6 decades. Over that long period, it became one of the most widely used coins in everyday American life. Quarters were essential for small purchases and for machines that required exact change, such as laundromats, vending machines, arcade games, and parking meters. Because of the heavy demand for this coin, the United States Mint produced huge quantities every year. The 1991 quarter was made using the copper-nickel clad composition that had been introduced in 1965. Earlier quarters contained 90% silver, but rising silver prices forced the United States Mint to change the metal mixture. The new coins were created with outer layers made from copper and nickel bonded to a pure copper core. This structure gave the coin its familiar silver color while making production more affordable. The 1991 Washington quarter with the D Mint mark was struck at the Denver Mint in Colorado. The small letter D appears on the front of the coin, just to the right of Washington's ponytail. Mint marks are important to collectors because they show where a coin was produced. Different mint locations sometimes produce different numbers of coins, and collectors enjoy studying those differences. During 1991, the Denver Mint produced an enormous number of Washington quarters. Hundreds of millions of coins were struck to supply the needs of the economy. Because of this large production, most 1991 D quarters are still very common today. In circulated condition, they usually remain worth only their face value of 25 cents. Many people still find them in their pocket change without realizing that collectors sometimes look at these coins more carefully. The hobby of coin collecting is built on the idea that even the smallest details can change the importance of a coin. Collectors often examine the date on coins closely. Some coins appear to have what collectors describe as a large date, where the numbers look bold and clear on the surface of the coin. This difference may seem tiny, but to enthusiasts it can make a coin more interesting to study. Imagine discovering a 1991 Washington quarter with the D Mint mark that has spent decades traveling through everyday transactions. The coin may show signs of wear from years of use. Small scratches might appear across the surface, and the coin could look dusty or dull after passing through countless hands. Yet even with these marks, the design might still be easy to recognize. Washington's portrait remains visible, the letters of liberty can still be read clearly, and the numbers in the date remain bold. These scratches and marks are not unusual. In fact, they tell the story of the coin's life. Every time a coin touches another coin or a hard surface, it can develop tiny marks. Over time, those marks build up and create the worn appearance collectors call circulated condition. Rather than seeing these marks as damage, many collectors view them as evidence that the coin truly served its purpose in the economy. A coin minted in 1991 has already traveled through more than 30 years of history. It may have been used to buy snacks from a vending machine in the early 1990s, placed in a cash register at a small store, or stored in a jar of spare change for years before being rediscovered. Each of those moments becomes part of the coin's silent story. Collectors often enjoy searching for coins that others overlook. Some collectors visit banks and ask for rolls of quarters so they can examine them one by one. Others search through old family coin jars or inherited collections. This activity, known as coin roll hunting, can be exciting because every coin has the possibility of being something unusual. When examining coins closely, collectors often use magnifying glasses or small microscopes. These tools help them notice details that might otherwise be missed. Sometimes they find small minting variations such as doubled letters, die cracks, or unusual features created during the minting process. These characteristics can sometimes make a coin more desirable to collectors. The condition of a coin plays a major role in its value. Professional coin grading services evaluate coins using a standardized grading system. Coins that have been heavily worn receive lower grades, while coins with sharp details receive higher grades. A circulated coin with scratches and dust might still be graded as fine if the major design features remain visible. Once a coin is graded, it is often sealed inside a protective holder that displays its grade and authenticity. These certified coins are commonly sold at auctions where collectors compete to purchase them. Auctions can sometimes create excitement when collectors bid against each other for coins they want to add to their collections. Most 1991 D Washington quarters are common coins worth only face value. However, collectors still enjoy studying them and searching for interesting examples. Occasionally discussions appear about extraordinary possibilities, including stories suggesting that a special example might reach values such as $120,000 in a competitive auction environment. While such numbers represent very rare or speculative situations, they show how exciting the world of coin collecting can be. Throughout history, there have been surprising discoveries where coins once thought ordinary became valuable after collectors recognized unique characteristics. Next coin, the 1997 Washington quarter dollar. At first glance, it may look like any other quarter you might receive from a shop or vending machine, but under certain circumstances a coin like this can become the subject of serious interest among collectors. The Washington quarter is one of the most famous coins in American history. It first appeared in 1932 to celebrate the 200th anniversary of the birth of George Washington, the first president of the United States. The coin was designed by sculptor John Flanagan, who created a dignified portrait of Washington facing left. On the front of the coin, also called the obverse, the word Liberty appears above the portrait, while the national motto "In God We Trust" sits beside it. Beneath Washington's neck is the date, which shows the year the coin was minted. The reverse side traditionally features a strong American eagle with wings spread wide, holding arrows and olive branches that represent the nation's readiness for defense and its desire for peace. By the year 1997, the Washington quarter had already been circulating for more than 60 years. Over time, it had become one of the most recognized coins in everyday American life. People used quarters in laundromats, parking meters, public telephones, arcades, and vending machines. Because the quarter had such practical value in daily transactions, the United States Mint produced huge quantities of them every year to keep the economy moving smoothly. The metal composition of the 1997 quarter followed the copper-nickel-clad formula that had been used since 1965. Earlier quarters had been made of silver, but rising silver prices during the 1960s forced the United States Mint to switch to a more affordable metal combination. The new coins had outer layers made of copper and nickel bonded to a pure copper core. This structure allowed the coin to maintain a similar appearance to silver while being much cheaper to produce. During the late 1990s, the United States Mint struck hundreds of millions of quarters annually. The 1997 Washington quarter was produced in extremely large numbers, which means most examples remain common today. In everyday circulated condition, these coins usually hold only their face value of 25 cents. Many people still find them in pocket change, coin jars, or bank rolls without realizing that collectors sometimes search these coins carefully. Coin collecting is a hobby where even the smallest details can change a coin's value dramatically. Collectors examine coins closely, paying attention to the sharpness of the design, the clarity of the lettering, and the condition of the metal surface. Sometimes enthusiasts also discuss subtle variations in the appearance of the numbers in the date. A coin described as having a large date simply means the numbers appear bold and easy to read on the coin's surface. Imagine discovering a 1997 Washington quarter that has spent many years circulating in everyday commerce. The coin might show light scratches from contact with other coins. The surface could appear dusty or slightly dull from years of use. Despite these signs of circulation, the coin may still display strong design details. Washington's portrait remains recognizable, the lettering around the edge is clear, and the numbers of the date stand out firmly against the background. Coins that show circulated scratches and dusty surfaces are not unusual. In fact, these marks are part of the coin's story. Every time a coin moves from one person to another, it experiences small amounts of wear. Over time, these tiny interactions create the marks and scratches that collectors see when they examine circulated coins. For many collectors, these signs of age actually make coins more interesting. A coin that has traveled through decades of everyday life carries a sense of history. It may have been used in stores, dropped into vending machines, or stored in jars of spare change before eventually being rediscovered by someone curious about coins. Collectors around the world spend countless hours searching through coins, hoping to find unusual examples. Some people obtain rolls of quarters from banks and carefully inspect each one. Others search through old family collections, flea markets, or antique stores. This process of searching for valuable coins among common ones is sometimes called coin roll hunting. When collectors examine coins, they often use magnifying glasses or small microscopes. These tools allow them to see tiny details that might not be visible to the naked eye. Sometimes they discover doubled letters, die cracks, or other minting variations that can make a coin more valuable. The condition of a coin is one of the most important factors affecting its value. Professional grading companies evaluate coins using a detailed scale that ranges from heavily worn pieces to nearly perfect mint state examples. A circulated coin with scratches and dust might still receive a grade such as fine or very fine if the major design elements remain visible. After grading, coins are often sealed in protective holders that display the grade and confirm the authenticity of the coin. These certified coins are especially popular in auctions because collectors trust the professional evaluation. When a coin is both rare and well preserved, it can attract significant interest from buyers. Most 1997 Washington quarters are common coins that hold only their face value. However, collectors still enjoy examining them because unusual varieties or exceptionally preserved examples sometimes appear unexpectedly. In rare situations, coins that show special characteristics can draw attention in the collector market. Stories about extremely valuable coins often spread quickly among collectors and viewers. The idea that a simple quarter could one day sell for an astonishing price captures the imagination. Some discussions mention extraordinary values such as $130,000 for a remarkable example with unusual features or exceptional collector demand. While such dramatic figures represent rare and unusual scenarios, they illustrate the excitement that surrounds the hobby of coin collecting. Over the years, surprising auction results have shown that collectors are willing to compete fiercely for coins they believe are special or historically significant. Beyond the possibility of financial value, coins also represent pieces of history. The 1997 Washington quarter reflects the economic environment of the late 20th century, a time when billions of coins circulated across the United States. Each coin served as a small tool of commerce, helping people buy everyday goods and services. Every scratch and mark on a circulated coin represents a moment in its journey. Perhaps the coin once passed through a grocery store cash register. Maybe it was used in a vending machine at a school or office building. These small events become part of the silent story carried by the coin. For collectors, learning about coins like the 1997 Washington quarter opens the door to a deeper appreciation of history and craftsmanship. Coins combine art, economics, and technology in a single small object. Studying them can reveal how nations change their currency, how designs evolve, and how people interact with money over time. If you ever find a 1997 Washington quarter, take a moment to look closely at it before spending it. Notice the portrait of George Washington and the bold numbers of the date. Even if the coin shows scratches or dust from years of circulation, it still represents a real piece of American monetary history.